Welcome to this video on the anatomy of proximity, a structural analysis of U.S.-Cuba relations from 1850 to the present. For over 150 years, the underlying driver of U.S. policy toward Cuba has been static, its proximity. Located just 90 miles from American shores, Cuba's instability inevitably exports outward, including migratory and security spillover. We can divide U.S.-Cuba relations into three distinct epochs: the imperial era, the Cold War and containment, and the modern security paradigm, each with its own core drivers and international relations concepts. Epoch 1, from annexation to quasi-imperial rule, spans 1850s to 1933. Key events include the slavery expansion debate, the Spanish-American War, military interventions in 1906 and 1917, and the 1933 neutrality shift. Divergent historical frameworks define U.S. and Cuban perspectives. For the U.S., the 1898 intervention was liberation, and the Batista regime was a strategic alliance. For Cuba, they were imperial usurpation and neocolonial extension, respectively. Epoch 2 is defined by Cold War containment. Key moments are Batista seizing power in 1952, Castro's communist forces winning the guerrilla war in 1959, and U.S. retaliation with the economic embargo and the Bay of Pigs. The 1962 Cuban Missile Crisis was a major flashpoint. The domestic pivot sees migration as a political vector. The 1980 Mariel boat lift, the 1990s Soviet collapse, and the 1996 veto demonstrate how domestic politics, particularly Cuban-American exiles, impacted the U.S.-Cuba relationship and the ongoing embargo. Since 2014, two competing diplomatic paradigms have emerged: the Obama-era's normalization thaw driven by shifting demographics, and the Trump/Rubio era's maximum pressure and security, viewing Cuba as a national security threat and demanding regime change. The anatomy of a failed state in Cuba involves free Venezuelan oil and state revenues being diverted to GAESA, a Cuban military conglomerate. This results in zero investment in national infrastructure, leading to blackouts, fuel crises, and humanitarian collapse. State failure is a national security threat. The causal chain moves from systemic meltdown to internal violence and instability, culminating in a mass migratory crisis. The U.S. policy stance redefines intervention, asserting a presidential obligation to protect national security. The current geopolitical standoff includes criminal indictments, terrorism designations, economic coercion, and conditional relief. The U.S. is applying pressure, while also offering humanitarian aid contingent on political and economic reforms and the expulsion of foreign intelligence agencies. In synthesis, despite radical paradigm shifts over 150 years, the fundamental geopolitical equation remains unchanged. Cuba's domestic instability is permanently classified as an American vulnerability. The conflict is an enduring consequence of geographic proximity.